Getting older isn't always nice. If you're like me, full of existential dread, then the idea of aging freaks you the hell out. From face wrinkles to career terminations, everything ages and everything dies. You guys liked the first one so much, so we're back at it again with part 2 of the top 10 celebrities who aged horribly. What's going on, guys? I'm your host Brie Room and welcome back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. Once again, we're diving into celebrity aging, but before we get into it, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you get to join me in a new video as soon as it goes live. Also check up here for a playlist. You can watch more videos like this one and stick around for some bonus content. I make bloopers for you guys to laugh at my pain, so please enjoy my suffering. Now once again, I'm going to include a disclaimer for you guys to still ignore, but I'm still gonna put this out there anyway. I'm not here to bash or judge anyone for their looks or anything. This is all in good fun. If I make jokes, that's simply what they are. Just humor to make you guys laugh and have a good time. If I really make fun of these people for the way they've aged, I'm gonna look like a hypocrite in 50 years, and that's not what I'm going for. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting us off at number 10, Cameron Diaz. Actress Cameron Diaz had a pretty successful career early on. Her breakout role was in the 1994 film The Mask starring Jim Carrey. She then went on to star in other acclaimed films like My Best Friend's Wedding, Shrek, and Charlie's Angels. Cameron experimented with a lot of different kinds of roles she played, from romantic comedies to dramas to action films. Cameron booked a lot of different roles in the beginning, but things certainly aren't that way anymore. There are a few reasons as to why people think that her career just hasn't aged well and why she stopped working. One reason is that people think that she was actually too successful in her early days and burnt out later down the road. Others think that it was because of her sudden decision to stick to her comfort zone when it comes to roles that broke her, since she used to hop between genres and was a fresh face for many types of films. Over the years, Cameron stuck to comedies and rom-coms, so she became tiresome on camera. Others think that it was the Shrek franchise that really did it in for her. Though the Shrek franchise is just chef's kiss level entertainment, with its spin-off holiday films and musicals. Yes, there was a musical, I was in it in high school, absolutely legendary. Critics believe that because Shrek stuck around for so long, it was hard for Cameron to crawl out of its shadow, and her career was never really able to recover from being Princess Fiona. I mean, if my career ended with Shrek, I think I'd be okay with it. In at number 9, Brad Pitt. Now, this aging might be considered a stretch, but it still counts, so I'm going with it. Sometimes in film and TV, makeup artists and the CGI editors have to make an actor or character look much older than they really are. Sometimes it's a cool transition, and other times the actor ends up looking a little worse for wear in their simulated old age. This is sort of the case with Brad Pitt from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. In the film about a man who ages backwards, the production team had the task of aging Brad Pitt to make himself older and younger than he really was. Though the production and editing of Brad's older form was very well done and convincing, his actual older looks were questionable. Again, not because the production was bad, just because it made Brad look nearly unrecognizable. At his oldest, Benjamin's character looked sort of like a hairless cat. He was wrinkled and mostly bald and very thin. It's hard to think that a 43-year-old man was under all those special effects. It wasn't his best look, but it was one of his best roles. At number 8, Alicia Silverstone. Alicia Silverstone, known for her lead role in the 1995 film Clueless, began her film career in the mid-90s and continued making hit films for the rest of the decade into the early 2000s. Though her career started off with a bang and she was quickly brought into stardom, her fame didn't really last long, as over the years she's fallen into obscurity. Her first major fumble was from her role as Batgirl in the 1997 film Batman and Robin. She even won a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress. I mean, that's not a good award. Why do they have awards for worst? That's just rubbing it in. Like, you tried your best. That's not nice. She's been in other productions, but she never quite hit as hard as she did in her early career. Though I don't think this really bothers her much, as she's revealed that she never wanted to be a movie star in the first place, if you can believe it. Alicia said that she was more of a theater nerd and never wanted the level of stardom that she found in her early years. It seems that as the years went on and the hype of her role in Clueless died down, Alicia shied away from the spotlight, resurfacing a few times, but mostly keeping to herself and her personal passions and projects. Coming in at 7, Hayley Atwell. Here's another instance of a celebrity whose on-screen aging didn't do them any favors. Hayley Atwell in her role as Peggy Carter in Captain America: Winter Soldier. In the film, we see Peggy Carter in her late 90s in her hospital bed suffering from Alzheimer's. As she was in her late 90s, obviously her physical appearance looked quite dated. She had silver hair, wrinkles, and age spots on her face and hands, another sign of old age. In the scene where we see Peggy and Steve Rogers interacting, the special effects have the actress looking nothing like her true true self and was aged far beyond her years. I mean, for 90 plus, her character was looking well, but she still aged rather badly in regards to her health. As she had Alzheimer's, you could see how Peggy began to fade away as the degenerative disease took hold of her, and as she aged, it got worse. In at 6, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's career was at its peak in the 2000s, but suddenly it imploded, leaving him with a bad rep in Hollywood and a less than ideal career. Tobey was made famous for his role as Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi trilogy. At the height of his career, Tobey was bringing the role of Peter Parker to life, making millions, and landing himself among Hollywood's A-list stars. But coming into 2007 and the third Spider-Man film in the series, things began to turn sour for the actor. Firstly, he began demanding more money from the studio. People believed that as he found more fame, his ego got larger as well, and he became more greedy and self-absorbed. Now, even though he was demanding more money, he was doing less work as he struggled with an injury on set, which prompted the need for doctors to be with Tobey at all times while filming. There was only so much that Tobey was able to do, even to the point where his doctors had to map out exactly how many steps Tobey was able to take in a scene. So this extravagant cost to pay both Tobey and his doctors added to the rest of the film's budget and added to its failure as it tanked at the box office when it was released. Obviously, this didn't help Tobey's career, and this combined with his gambling problem and bad attitude towards others, this landed him the name Bully Maguire and ultimately shunned from Hollywood. His career aged poorly with the evolution of his on-screen character as well as his off-screen persona. Halfway through at number 5, Keith Richards. I've seen a lot of sources say that Keith Richards has aged horribly. Some say that it was his rock and roll lifestyle that did it in for him and his looks, and others say that he just lost out in the gene department and that he just wasn't destined to age gracefully. I'm on the fence here. I honestly don't think he looks that bad. I mean, he could definitely look worse. If you watched part 1 of this video, then you remember how I talked about Prince Philip and how he's looking nowadays. It could always be worse. Now, Keith Richards, is he the most graceful ager? No, probably because of his drug usage in his younger rock and roll days. But has he stopped that kind of lifestyle? Yes, and I think he's gonna be fine. Right now he's 76 years old and he's still looking relatively young, so I think he's on the right track. I'd say he's about a 5 on the poor aging scale. Coming in at number 4, Mickey Rourke. Following Keith Richards, we have Mickey Rourke, and although I said that Keith was fine and things could be worse, I'm gonna have to bring this up as one of the worst cases with Mickey here. I wish I could say, oh Mickey, you're so fine, but I can't. He's had a lot of work done over the years to the point that he doesn't even look like himself anymore. At 68 years old, he's looking a little rough, not because he's an old wrinkled mess, but because he tried a little too hard to correct his aging with plastic surgery, and things went wrong. In his early career, he was praised for his baby face and boyish charm, but now, not so much. I think that the lesson we learn from celebrities like this is that sometimes it's just best to let the aging process happen. I mean, you wouldn't stop a fine wine or cheese from aging, would you? No, no way. Just let it happen, babes. It's a beautiful thing. At number 3, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson has had a tumultuous career to say the least. Mel fell from grace and he fell hard. His career has aged worse than anyone else on this list by a landslide. Not only has he had abuse and assault allegations against him, but he also has a history of anti-Semitism and racial aggressions. His career took a turn for the worse after years of buildup of his poor actions, but after the release of his religious film The Passions of the Christ, he was basically shut out of Hollywood for the remainder of his career. His film was criticized for its violence and anti-Semitic ideals. Because of his negative view by Hollywood executives, he struggled to book individual roles, and this has driven his career into the dirt. The only thing that really seems to be keeping his career intact is his directing. He's directed The Passions of the Christ, obviously, as well as Hacksaw Ridge, and now the sequel to the Passions film. So although he started off strong in the film industry, over time he's gone from hero to zero, and I don't think we will ever see a comeback. Coming in at number 2, Michael J. Fox. I'm including this one because he looked questionable at best. So in another iteration of celebrities who were aged for a role, we have Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future Part 2. In this film, we see Michael's character, Marty McFly, as a 47-year-old man in the year 2015. Now we're not going to talk about the fact that this movie made some wild predictions about how the year 2015 was going to look, because that is a whole other video. We're going to talk about how the makeup department did Michael so dirty when they aged him up. Obviously, McFly's aging was the result of makeup and not special effects, effects, because you can kind of see it in his face, but still, they made the guy look a little funky and not in a good way. They added prosthetics to his forehead and cheeks to give him more defined wrinkles and jowls, and they also receded his hairline, added grayed hairs, and made his eyebrows look the complete opposite of fleeky. Fox, who is now 59 years old in real life, looks much better and even much younger than his 47-year-old self in the film. I hope that back then when they were filming and they got him into his old man getup, that Michael didn't think that he'd actually look like this in the future, because that is so not true. Finally, into number 1, Michael Jackson. I'm sure we are all familiar with Michael Jackson's appearance later in his life. He went from being a good-looking guy with a thick afro to being a thin, pale man with thinning hair and skin. Most of the changes in his appearance were due to his health. His change in complexion was due to his vitiligo, and his thinning hair was due to age as well as chemical relaxing. He also got a lot of plastic surgery done, which didn't really aid in his appearance. The constant alterations done to his face in particular caused his skin to thin and wrinkle, which just added to the cycle of his work. And his infamous nose job changed the proportions of his face, which really made him look even bonier with his thin, pointed nose. He kind of looked like the other mother from Coraline. If you know what I'm talking about, you get it. Over the years, Michael's appearance worsened with age as he tried to correct what time had caused, but really it just worsened its outcomes. The only thing that didn't age poorly about Michael was his musical abilities. Though his appearance and health deteriorated over the years, his talent stayed legendary. But yeah, that's our list of the top 10 celebrities who aged horribly part 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. I had a lot of fun coming up with this one, so I hope you guys enjoyed it and had fun watching it. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and until next time, stay groovy. Before we dive in, once again, we're diving into actress Cameron Diaz had a pretty successful actress Cameron Diaz that broke her because nope, where am I? Say that 5 times fast. Here's another instance of a celebrity who's rewind. Every time I see degenerative, I think of Ellen. Yeah. Ellen DeGenerate. Like, God, stop it, Ellen. Get out of my head. Tobey Maguire's career was at its peak in the 90s. That's not what that says. Coming in at number 4, Mickey I practiced this yesterday. Rourke? Rourke. Mel fell from Mel fell. I'm a poet.